Serving God gave me dignity for a time. It felt noble, even holy. But eventually, it started to feel like I was only there to clean the ballroom, never invited to the ball itself, never welcomed as a guest. I could see the celebration, but I wasn't part of it. That's when I realized obedience isn't the same as relationship, and that gap, that ache, is what has brought me back to this point of wanting more. That's where I found myself, and maybe you have too. Obedience is good. Faithfulness is good. Stewardship is good. But if all you have is the duty of serving God, without the intimacy of knowing Him, it eventually starts to feel hollow. For a while, it looked and felt like progress. It even gave me hope, but over time, it left me hungry. Because deep down, I don't just want to serve God, I also want to know Him. And I wonder if you've ever felt that gap too. When I first leaned into the idea of being God's steward, it felt like the breakthrough I needed. I told myself, okay, maybe I won't get the voice, the closeness, the emotional connection everyone else talks about, but I can still manage what He's entrusted me. I can still obey. I can still be useful. That thought gave me dignity. It gave me a reason to get up in the morning and treat my life like it mattered. Instead of wandering in circles, I had a role: take care of what belongs to God. And that's powerful when you're desperate. It's like putting on sunglasses on a blinding day. Suddenly the glare softens, the edges sharpen, and you think, I can do this. I can see again. I thought, even if I don't feel Him, at least I can serve Him. At least I can live faithfully. And for a time, that was enough. But the ache never really left, because while I was doing the right things, obeying, serving, showing up, I couldn't ignore the hunger for something deeper. I'd still hear people talk about their relationship with God, how He felt close to them, how He answered prayers, how He whispered peace into their storms. And I would sit there wondering, why not me? That's when the steward role began to crack. Because as noble as it first felt, it wasn't filling the part of me that longed for intimacy. It started to feel like I was living in God's house as staff, useful, busy, always working, but never welcomed as family or even as a guest. It's as if I took a job working for a boss I completely respected and admired, but working for him, I never saw or dealt with him. I'm so far down the chain of command that our paths never crossed. Even though I see my efforts are for a good cause, my heart still desires a stronger and more personal connection. So the steward role felt like movement towards God, but ended up being just a distraction that brought me no closer to Him. And maybe you felt that too. Maybe you've been faithful, you've obeyed, you've tried to do all the right things, but inside you still feel like something's missing. That's what I mean when I call it the sunglasses problem. At first, sunglasses are amazing. They make the harsh light manageable. They tint the world in a way that feels sharp and even cool. But if you wear them too long, you forget what the world really looks like. The sky isn't really that shade of blue. The grass isn't really that muted green. The colors are distorted. And eventually, the distortion starts to bother you. That's what stewardship without relationship became for me. It filtered life just enough to survive, but after a while, it didn't fulfill me. It just wasn't what I really wanted. I remember one afternoon, sitting outside watching my kids play. They were laughing, chasing each other in the grass, light spilling across their faces. And for a split second, it felt like God was right there, in the noise, the joy, the raw beauty. The sunglasses slipped, and I thought, this is it. This is Him. But just as quickly, the filter slid back on. Duty, stewardship, responsibility. And the colors dulled again. That's when I knew I didn't want the filter. I wanted the real light. Maybe another way to explain it is like working at Disneyland. At first, it feels incredible. You've got the badge, the uniform, the insider access. You walk through hidden hallways the guests don't even know exist. You're part of the magic, but then you see the costumes come off. You see Mickey without his head. You hear the machinery grinding behind the rides, and little by little, the wonder fades. That's what obedience without relationship became for me. I was working backstage in God's world. I was useful, even necessary, but I wasn't experiencing the magic the way others did. And deep down, I wanted that. I didn't just want to keep the park running. I wanted to ride the rides, feel the wonder, be touched by our Creator. This is where the tension gets sharp, because when you've lived as a servant long enough, you start to wonder if maybe that's all you'll ever be. You start to fear that relationship isn't coming, that obedience is the closest you'll ever get. And yet, the longing doesn't go away. That's what keeps me from giving up. The ache itself is proof that my heart still wants Him. If I didn't care, I'd walk away. But the fact that I still want relationship tells me the story isn't over yet. Obedience is good. Stewardship is good. Duty is good, but it's not the end. The end is intimacy. The end is relationship. And until I taste that, I'm afraid I will not be satisfied. Because obedience isn't the same as relationship, service isn't the same as intimacy, and filters, no matter how helpful, can't replace the real light. So I'm trying not to lose heart. The longing itself is a gift. The ache itself is a sign. Because if we're still hungry, it means we were made for more. If this hits home for you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Not because I have the answers, but because sometimes knowing someone else feels this too makes the silence easier to bear. And if you know someone caught in this tension, faithful but hungry, obedient but aching, maybe share this with them. Not as a solution, but as a reminder, they're not alone. And now it's time for a closing prayer. God, I bring you the ache in my heart. I've tried to serve, to obey, to be faithful, and I know those things are good. But deep down, what I want is you. Not just your rules, not just your work. I want relationship. For everyone listening who feels the same longing, I pray you would meet us in the hunger. Not with quick answers or easy fixes, but with your presence. Teach us that obedience has value, but intimacy is your desire for us. And give us courage to keep seeking you, even in the silence, because we believe you are not just a master to serve, but a Father who wants to be known. Amen. If you're enjoying my experiences trying to find God, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons so I can continue to bring you more of my search as it progresses. Thank you.